So this was like, in terms of all of MMA, I think that this weekend's like slate of fights in UFC, Bellator, PFL, no really crazy boxing to my knowledge this weekend, but dude, like the past weekend in fights was just awesome in every single promotion. Like, obviously we're going to focus on the UFC because like that's what most of the people are watching, but like we definitely are going to talk a little bit about Bellator and the PFL, some crazy things that have happened in there and in those fights. But I guess we can just go into the UFC. But Mousasi, I think that's how you say it. I've heard it said like 3 different ways in the past week, bro. Bruce Buffer says it one way, and Fitzgerald says it another way, and John Anik says it a different. Like, I don't know. I'm gonna go with Mousasi, but he beats Arman Tsarukyan by unanimous decision, all 48-47s. I guess before I like ask you like what you thought, all I gotta say really like it's very simple to me. Like, I'm not even going to go too crazy into it, but it's just like the grappling exchanges in that were just beautiful. Like, I loved watching that fight. It was exactly what we thought it was going to be. 2 of the best young guys.
It just felt like just a blend of a little bit of everything.
Yeah,
just like, one fight. It's kind of like, honestly, yeah, kind of not, because I don't want to say like, yeah, exactly how we because no, like a fight, when you take those 2 like fighter styles against each other and you put them in a 5, not even just a 3-rounder, but a 5-rounder, and then you just let them go, like, you're bound to see anything.
That was just so awesome. Like, I
didn't even know if I wanted like a finish or not. I think it was just room for like 5 rounds of just
all that crazy, like
exactly.
All the takedown attempts led to like the most insane like grappling transitions I think I've ever seen. Like, that was just incredible. Like, in the first couple rounds, like obviously Arman, he did a better job at like pushing the pace and landing a lot of strikes on the feet. But like, you know, even you said it, I remember when we were talking about it last week, like how you thought that the lack of 5-round experience was going to matter, and it definitely seemed like it did, and he even admitted it in the cage. So like, I think obviously the decision was fair. Like, I had it 3-2 Gamrot too. I thought round 3, like, even though it was fairly close, I gave it still to Gamrot. And like, one thing that really impressed me with obviously both of them was that their takedown defense was incredible, but especially in round 5 though, the way that Gamrot was able to turn it up, because it was basically, I would think it was 2-2 on everybody's scorecards, and Gamrot, like, it was pretty even like on the feet, I guess, but Gamrot landed the takedowns like when he needed them very late in the round, and that really like put a stamp on it for him in my opinion. But man, like this 155-pound division just keeps getting better and better, and like I'm so happy that both of these guys are in it. Like, not like, his Arman, I don't know if you saw like his interview after the fight. I don't know if Bisping should have went up to him. That he looked pretty sad. He was literally up against the cage. He was like, oh. I felt so bad, bro. And then the camera guys, like when he's shaking, Gamrot was shaking his hand. He was like literally like on the ground, like, oh my god. Like, and then Bisping thought it was a good idea to go up to him. But yeah, no, I mean, he was obviously disappointed, but I don't think he should be. That was a great performance, even in a loss against a guy who's clearly going to be high level. Like, at first, like when he called out Justin Gaethje, I kind of felt weird about it because I was like, he's probably not going to get that fight. But then I looked at like the rankings, and I'm like, there's not many other people like that he could really like fight. Like, in reality, like I think one fight that would be good personally would be Fiziev, whether he beats RDA or not, which I'm not 100% sure if he will. But where's these rankings? I have them up. So like, Arman was number 11 and Mousasi was number 12. So I would imagine he's probably only going to go up 1 spot. Because I feel like since Fiziev is headlining an event with RDA, they're not going to take him out of the top 10. I don't think they would.
That would be so messed up.
Yeah, no. Well, like, you got to think about it from the promo side. Like, you could say 2 top 10. Like,
yeah,
that's... You can't say that if you boot him out. But I think he'll probably be like number 10 or number 11, I would imagine. If anything, maybe Tony Ferguson might go down a little bit because he's at number 9.
Yeah,
but I don't want to see Gamrot fight Tony Ferguson. Please, God, no. I don't want, like, McGregor's that's not going to happen. RDA, I guess, is possible, but personally, if RDA wins, I feel like he deserves, like, an upper echelon type guy. He's already earned it. Like, then you got Dariush, Chandler, Islam. Like, these are all guys who are in the title picture.
That's just, like, exactly.
So that's why Gaethje, like, at first it was like, he might not get that one, but then I was like, who the fuck else? Like, who else is he gonna fight? Dan Hooker? He's still there somewhere.
I don't think so, to be honest.
I see him at number 13. I didn't even know he was still ranked at lightweight, to be honest. But I hope he rebounds, honestly.
Yeah, I'm interested to see what's next for him.
Yeah, I haven't heard much about him lately. I guess he's probably laying low.
I forget who it was exactly, so if it comes back, I'll mention it. But there's rumblings about one fight.
I wonder if he's
rumored to be booked for.
Let's see. Against
someone who actually, very recently just fought.
Doesn't say yet, but I know he wants to go back to 155. I saw that he said that, which is smart, because, he definitely didn't look too great at 145. Yeah, that was hard. Not the right move for Dan, but back to our lightweights that we're talking about in the main event. I mean, what do you think of maybe Gamrot versus Fiziev, win or lose versus RDA?
I think it would honestly be another one of this fight. Pretty close to it. Pretty close to it. Who knows how many rounds it is for one. Obviously that matters. This went the entire way, so. I
wish this fight, this past weekend, the main event, was one of those, fights that goes until someone gets finished. I wish.
Yeah.
I don't care how many rounds. I would have watched that all night.
And, you just saw in this fight, too, I would argue, Sarukian just let the last 2 rounds get away from him, in all honesty. I think he won the first 2, and then round 3 was super close, but I gave it to Gamrot, like you said, and then just kind of same from there. The gas tank was fading, and Gamrot was all over it. So
yeah, even getting those takedowns, because early in the fight, those scrambles. It
was a lot of fun. I'm glad that those two they got there that time in the spotlight, shine. They put on a show.
Fantastic match.
Exactly, they should continue to be booked as such.
Yeah, I love it. I love the we definitely we're 50-50. Sometimes we really praise the UFC, and then other times we criticize them. This is one of those times that they deserve a lot of praise.
Truly impressive.
I love that these guys got that 5-round spotlight. I think they were on ESPN too, on the actual channel. So that's pretty good. For people who don't have the streaming service or who don't want to pirate it. But I think that this fight was just truly a showcase of the next generation at 155.
Yeah.
These guys are both going to be around for a long time. Arman is only 25 years old, and that was his 3rd loss in general, his whole career. I think his last one before that was probably Islam Makhachev. So he'll be
I will
around.
say though, the Fiziev fight I think would be a lot more striking oriented than.
Yeah, that's why I want to see it, because Gamrot on the feet, he looked pretty good. But also, it was Arman looked good early in the fight, and the thing about Fiziev is Fiziev's gonna look really good early in the fight on the feet. So who knows how that one would go? But honestly, I don't know if Fiziev gets past RDA. Obviously, we got a couple weeks before that one, but remember, people forgetting how bad RDA beat up Moicano, who's insane on the ground.
Yeah, and that's right.
Fiziev is not Moicano on the ground. On the feet, obviously he knocked Moicano out, but that's a different ball game. I don't think he's knocking RDA out. I mean, we're doing a little promo of everything with the 155. You could talk about that. We could do a whole episode talking about the lightweight division. Literally, that's how popular all these a lot of fighters are. It's so fun.
So much parody.
I also hope RDA wins just because he was cool as fuck when I met him.
Oh, of course. You deserve to have the bias towards RDA.
Yeah, big fan after that.
I won't hold you to it.
Yeah, that's a good fight, though. I like him versus Fiziev, because Fiziev's striking is legit, but RDA, man, people sleep on how good he really is. It's crazy. Remember that one fight, Paul Felder? He took, when Paul took it on, 3 days' notice or something like that. That was one of the better performances of his career, in my opinion. He was beating the shit out of Paul Felder. And he won that fight by split decision somehow. I don't know what that judge was looking at. I think it was gave it 48-47 Felder, and then one of them had 50-45 RDA. How? How do you both see? That's radically different.
It just never seems to correlate.
Yeah,
it just makes sense in any way.
I remember the look on RDA's face when they said that was a split decision. I was what? But, oh my God. Well, we don't even have to talk about that right now. But, yeah, I mean, not too much else to say, I guess, about the main event besides, just how awesome that was. I you know me, kind of what I think about fights. Obviously, I'm a big fan of just MMA in general. I love to see a good war, but sometimes those technical wars, for me personally, are just, really fun to watch. Just a good, close fight. Like kind of like what Jan versus Sandhagen was back in October. That was another one that really was a fun one to watch for me. But yeah, I mean, with that, on to like another prospect who's making a name for himself now. Shavkat Rakhmonov submitting Neil Magny, the tail end of round 2. Like, wow. That's all I have to say. Like, when are we seeing him and Hamzat? That's all I want to see. I don't give a shit about any of these other guys he called out. Like, he called out Nick Diaz, Wonder Boy, Jorge Masvidal. He'd wipe the floor with all of them. I'm sorry.
Yeah, like, no, he probably would, honestly.
Grappling's just another level. Like, he's up there.
That was a scary showing. I think he put on Neil Magny. It's like
he didn't even have to show how good he was. He didn't even have to use it.
Like, he gets the grip on you. Like, good luck getting out of it. You know.
Yeah. Magny, like, he also made like some mistakes, I guess, in defending. Like, a couple of the times he was trying to like lift his leg up to kind of like separate Shavkat's a little bit, but that wasn't really working. He was getting him down quick, and even on the ground, like, Shavkat's like top control is just so like insanely good. And then the other thing that I was really like impressed by was how, because obviously we were talking about Magny's like length and stuff, and I more thought about it honestly on the feet than I did on the ground. But then when he took him down and Magny kind of immediately put his legs in the way, I was like, oh, well, I didn't really factor that part in. And then right away, or like right when I was thinking about that, Shavkat just kind of like takes his legs and swings them to the side and gets into side control. And he did that like a few times throughout the fight. Just outstanding. Like against a guy like Magny, who is not an easy guy to get out, not an easy guy to beat, let alone to even get out of there like that. Like, that was just incredible. Like, the way he was able to transition past Magny's long ass legs to get the side control every round.
I was gonna say
incredible. Just incredible. What did you think of Shavkat though? Are you as high as I am on him at this point, or not?
No, I mean, I don't see why not, honestly. Like, I'm just saying, like, I want to see more. Like, I would like for someone to be booked, someone I would like to be booked, you know, more consistently and whatnot. Especially now if he's gonna be in, like, you know, right in the thick of, you know, the welterweight division, which, you know, we just got done. Exactly. We just
top 10 guy.
We just got done talking about lightweight. Like, we do the same thing with welterweight. So
yeah, that's 100% certain. Oh, I guess. Well, I was about to say the only difference is that Usman has been like dominant as champion, but Oliveira is like, you know, what can you even say? Like, he's just dominated. Well, not dominated in like the traditional sense. But, like, in terms of just the wins, like,
they have to be beat sometime soon, is all I have to say. And it's always going to
I like Usman versus Edwards, man. That's a tough fight. Like, I think Usman, like, if he's looking to strike with Leon Edwards, that's a problem. Because Leon's much better striker than him. Like, you know, you see that happen with MMA a lot. Like, I remember Ronda Rousey probably is the most infamous, I should say, case of it. Like, when Edmund Tarverdyan convinced her that she was a really good boxer, and that was remember when Joe Rogan was saying that he thought that Ronda Rousey could beat Floyd Mayweather in a boxing match, or MMA, it was something like that. He said he could beat him on the feet. That's what he was like implying. I was like, yeah. Okay. Then Holly Holm kicked her head into oblivion.
But that not age well at all.
Yeah, no. He even admits it. Like, he's taking complete responsibility for that.
Yeah, really. At that point, it's like you have really no choice. Like, you might as well own up to it.
Yeah, no, that was an extraordinarily bad take. But back to like the welterweight division, like Shavkat, you know, like I said, one fight that I want to see is him versus Hamzat. I don't see that happening right now, but one fight I could see that they could make, like, theoretically, if he's in the top 10, would love to see Shavkat versus Gilbert Burns. Would love it.
Wow.
Dude, it's the same reasons I wanted to see Hamzat versus him, I want to see Shavkat. Because I don't think Shavkat has the same level of striking on the feet in terms of, like, his power. I think he's got creativity on Gilbert, maybe. But it's basically, like, the same fight to me, and if it's any bit as good as the Hamzat one was, oh man, just please sign me up for that fight. Like, I don't want to see him versus Diaz, Wonderboy, or Masvidal. That's going to look just like this fight did. And if anything, that'll build his hype. But, fuck.
And those are the specific names, like, he called out too, right? I'm not...
Yeah, no, he said all of them. I don't know if he said them all in the interview, like, post-fight. But he definitely said them in in the press conference. There ain't a chance in hell that the UFC gives him Nick Diaz or Masvidal. Well, I think the UFC would consider giving him Masvidal, but Masvidal would have to accept that fight, which I don't think happens. Wonderboy would be the one that, if anything, I could see them doing, but Wonderboy has repeatedly said he wants to be fighting a striker, so I don't think he would want that fight right now particularly. That's why I think him versus Burns makes the most sense, because Burns is coming off a loss, but he's still like at the upper echelon. That's a fight I want to see. Like, I want to see... We were talking about the grappling exchanges in the main event. I want to see some grappling exchanges in this fight. So, yeah, I mean, the main and co-main definitely delivered on a high level this week, but the rest of the card, there definitely were some crazy moments. The whole main card, honestly, I was really entertained by. But one heavyweight fight that I didn't expect to enjoy as much as I did was Josh Parisian versus Alain it's French, so it's like different. Alain Baudot, I think that's how you say it.
That sounds about right.
I thought he had Parisian out of there when he dropped him early.
Me too.
But man, like, what a comeback! That's all I got.
That second round was like a completely different fight.
Yeah, I saw just horrible meme. It was picture said Baudot after round 2 of the fight. And it was just like a big fat dude with his like pants half down, his ass sticking out, and he was just laying face first, knocked out on the ground. And I was like, come on. I was like, what did Alain Baudot do to deserve that? Like, it's different. Like, like you see the memes with like Masvidal and stuff, or even like Tony Ferguson. You're like, all right, well, they've talked their fair share of shit. What did Baudot do to deserve that? Usually I'll put, like, when we talk about, like, things that I see on Instagram, I'll usually put them on the picture. I can't even put that one on the video.
It's gotta be something.
I feel so bad.
It's gotta be something personal.
No, yeah, definitely. He probably bet some money on him for that fight and lost. But, yeah, man, I just, like, there wasn't even too much I had to say about that one. Like, I figured it was going to be, like, a typical heavyweight, like, 3-rounder on a fight night. It usually just goes to shit after round 1. But that one was not, that was not the case with this one. I thought that Parisian just showed like just a crazy level of heart. Like, I love seeing that in the UFC when someone comes back like that. I was hoping that Julian Marquez is going to do that against Gregory last week, but
that would have been one for the ages.
Oh my god, bro! Dude, like, not to reminisce too much about that fight, but like just the fact that if he would have landed a big shot and somehow stopped him while he was basically unconscious on his feet, that would have just been all time, bro. And I love the Cuban Missile Crisis, Julian Marquez. He's one of my favorite fighters in that division. But fuck, I guess, like, we get some wishes from the MMA gods, and then some of them we don't. This was one of the ones that we didn't. But something that the MMA gods have truly blessed us with is the presence of Umar Nurmagomedov. Like,
smooth transition.
Yeah, that was pretty smooth, wasn't it? But anyway,
dude. Oh my god, dude. Man. This guy is just as insane. He's so much fun to watch, man.
Yeah, I loved it. Like, he's looked pretty good, like, in his first few fights that I've seen, but like this one, in my opinion, he looked absolutely like outstanding from every sense.
He's like a spider just moving around all over the place.
He's even got that same like Khabib type footwork,
dude.
But he switches stances. I noticed that throughout the way he switched stances and used his lead leg in both stances, whether he was southpaw or orthodox. It was just incredible, like the way he was always active using that, because Manis coming in was expecting the takedown, but he was getting hit with like lead leg roundhouses.
Oh yeah, like there was a face kick, literally straight to Manis's face.
Yeah, like I enjoyed watching that. I was just like a true MMA exhibition for Umar, man. Like, he looked great on the feet, and not even just. Obviously, we know him for the ground. He showed that too. I mean, he had just smothering top control. He was doing great at just like throughout the fight, kind of just attacking like different submissions, as well as like, obviously getting some great ground and pound throughout the fight. Just, he looked incredible. Like, if they don't give him a top 15 guy next, what are we doing? Like, I just, like, bantamweight is like, God, man. The UFC, like, they got some divisions right now that have just firepower in their like top 30, and bantamweight is another one, man.
With this, like, really, at this point with this guy, like, not giving him a top 15 opponent is like just wasting his time. Like, I think I think we can at least give him this,
We've
this
established
chance
that he can beat.
to show exactly.
Let's see what the bantamweight top 15's looking like this week at the tail end. I know Yanez is in it now. Oh, man. I have a bad feeling. I feel like something might happen. Actually, no. Maybe not, because they're managed, I think, by the same guy. But I saw Frankie Edgar at number 12, and I was like, fuck me, they might give him Frankie. But they're both managed by Ali, so maybe not. Ricky Simone is ranked number 11. Now that's a fight I want to see. Ricky Simone is like my bantamweight. Like, I feel bad. Like, every time there's like a rising bantamweight, I'm like, I'm gonna fight Ricky Simone. Let's boot him out of the ranks. Like, he did something wrong. But I just in terms of this actual fight, like stylistically, like they're both really good wrestlers, just different styles of wrestlers. Please, man, let's see that one. Don't give him Frankie Edgar, for God's sake. For God's sake,
yeah,
don't
please.
give him Frankie Edgar. I don't need to see that. But bantamweight, they've had some like good fights booked lately. Like, we were talking, I know, like a little bit about Vera versus Cruz. Then Song Yadong versus Corey Sandhagen. That was another one that got booked fairly under the radar.
Yeah.
That's a beautiful fight. God, man. I love the UFC. I sound like a homer, but, like, dude, there's so many, like, good fighters in every division now. And, like, there's just, like, what are they say, like 600 fighters on the roster?
Yeah,
and
man,
there's just so many great ones.
So deep.
I love it. I love that, like, there's just fights getting booked, like, so many at this point that you can't even keep track of.
Endless fights you can book, dude.
This month is crazy. Like, it's like in July for the first week we got the pay-per-view International Fight Week, Adesanya and Cannonier, which is insane. Then you got, like, after that, I think it's RDA versus Fiziev. Then Ortega and Rodriguez. Like, fuck, man. This is going to be a good next month of fights. Let me just tell you guys that. But, man, anyway, back to this fight night, though. Umar looked incredible. Top 15 guy next. Not much more to say besides that. I mean, he was like a minus, like, 600-something favorite coming into this, and it was warranted, clearly, by the performance that he let out. Another fight, though, that I enjoyed that, I mean, personally, I kind of became a fan of Chris Curtis after the Phil Hawes fight because we were such big Phil Hawes fans, and we didn't know how Chris was going to do against him, and then Chris, like, lit him up. And now he's on an 8-fight win streak, including this fight. This was one of them that, like, initially when I saw it, like this card, I didn't even realize this fight was happening. But when I saw it, I was like, damn, this is going to be a fun one. Because Vieira, obviously, is a jiu-jitsu world champion, one of the best guys on the ground in all of the UFC. But his Achilles heel is one of the most obvious Achilles heels in all of MMA. The guy's got one of the worst gas tanks in the UFC right now. And Chris Curtis clearly knew that. Hitting him to the body.
It became so obvious as it went on that Vieira just wasn't, it was either the ref was going to stop in or, like, he was just going to, barely make it out. Which is what happened. He barely made it out. I will say this, though. There was a point, like, especially when Vieira lost to, it was Fluffy Hernandez. I think his first name's Anthony. I know his nickname's Fluffy, but he lost in that one fight that he really got exposed for having a bad gas tank. I think his gas tank has gotten a lot better since then, but he still looked exhausted, like, in round 3, and, like, before that it was round 2. So I guess there's, like I said, there's improvements being made, so I can't hate on him too much. But this fight, Chris Curtis just put it on him with the body shots, and they were doing, like, a lot of damage, I think, and he was getting hurt throughout. Round 3 especially, Chris Curtis was really piecing him up. But, yeah, I'm a big fan of him. I think that he can, like, definitely make some noise in the 185-pound division. I'd like to see him versus Julian Marquez. Yeah. Yeah. I just thought of that literally right now. And I'm kind of like... I can't oppose to that.
Yeah. Let's give Julian some time to recover, though.
Yeah.
First of all, because he's going to need some time.
Either.
Yeah, man. But... I guess besides that, a couple shout-outs on the prelims. I mean, just a couple of nice finishes. 2 of them that I wanted to talk about a little bit were Carlos Ulberg with that insane left hook that he landed that basically knocked Tafon. I'm not even going to butcher his last name like that. We've talked about him on the show before, Tafon. But this fight did not end well for him. He got hit with a bad left hook, and it was all she wrote after that. But Carlos Ulberg, he comes out of City Kickboxing. I remember he lost his first fight against that guy Kennedy, who he has an equally hard name to pronounce, but they're both from Africa, and they're both good fighters in their own. Kennedy especially, I'm a big fan of him actually, but Carlos Ulberg since then has looked pretty good. And this fight was no different. I mean, that left hook that he hit him with was just so beautiful. I love those like check left hooks at the end of combinations when they just get the guy, but it's like bad enough that like he's stunned. That one was a bad finish, but the other one that I definitely loved was Mario Batista just getting that nice RNC over Brian Kelleher. Just good juju for the MMA Lab heading into this big international fight week for them, because you got Jared Cannonier fighting for the title, got Sugar Sean fighting Pedro Munoz. This podcast has almost become like a UFC 276 preview, although that will be coming obviously on Friday.
Oh my goodness,
but,
man.
Dude, like I said, this summer of fights has truly been amazing so far, and that was no different. And this actually just reminded me of another fight that I completely just skipped over by accident. It was because it was another rear naked choke, but our lock of the night, Thiago Moises, dude.
Yep.
That one arm rear naked choke against Christos Giagos. That was incredible. He looked just as good as I imagined he was going to look, honestly. I'm sure you agreed.
Bullied it. He just bullied Giagos up against the cage.
Yeah.
And just...
Yeah, that was
impressive for sure.
Your underdog of the night looked a little better than mine. I thought that was a close fight with Paiva and Morozov, but I honestly would want to talk more about Cody Durden? Is it
Cody Durden?
Yeah, Cody Durden. He beat JP Bays pretty badly. I think that's probably JP's last fight in the UFC, if I had to guess, considering I think he's on a losing streak, if I'm not mistaken. But if not, he's definitely lost more fights in the UFC than he's won, which is sucky, but it's just the way it goes. But, yeah, I think our lock of the night... Did you end up keeping Thiago as your lock? I thought that was funny that we literally had the same people and didn't even realize it. Like, I figured, like, the odds of that happening are probably so low.
No, man, that's...
Of course it does. But
I'd seen your underdog, I wanted to change mine, and I was like, oh, if I can get...
Ended up being a good decision.
Exactly, if I can get Cody Durden at +1, because he was actually, it was a pick'em on FanDuel, so it was only DraftKings where, at least at the time, where you could get...
You were right in the main event about the odds, because like Gamrot ended up staying around where he was when we talked about him. So anybody who bet on Gamrot definitely made some nice money that night. That's good for them.
Hedge those bets, and I was trying to hammer that down. The entire preview last week. Fights like that, like you got hedge it if you're gonna bet it. They always come. The numbers, like at the end of the day, like they're obviously a great indication of how a fight like might go and whatnot, especially if it's a really big favorite. Like sometimes it tends to be egregious, but it's obviously for logical reason. Just randomly throw this huge of a number for someone to win just out of the blue. But that one I thought should have been closer. And
honestly, it shouldn't have been that far.
And,
I remember, I know I picked Arman. But, obviously, how close I had this one, in my head. This is why I love this fight in the main event so much. We keep going back to it. And, it's funny because compared to, other fights that we've talked about on the pod, Glover Teixeira and Yuri, it wasn't even, a crazy war or anything. It was just, I just enjoyed it, as a martial arts fan. I truly just enjoyed watching everything about it, on the feet, on the ground, especially those early rounds when they were just defending every takedown that the other guy threw at them. It was just truly outstanding. I loved watching that one. But I guess we can touch on this a little bit before we go. Stop with the UFC. But Vanessa Demopoulos, she is, bro. Mike Bisping, he probably got a talking to when he came on. She's you could tell that these guys are. Well, Bisping probably expected it a tiny bit, but probably didn't think that it was actually going to happen until it did. But I love her energy, man. Her energy is so infectious. I want to see her keep winning. Her fight, it was a close one, and some people definitely didn't think that she deserved to win. I thought it was close. I don't think it was a robbery, really. My only thing with this is, similar to what I was saying about that RDA fight with Paul Felder. I don't understand how one judge can give it 29-28 to her opponent, and then one judge can give it 30-27 to her. So, I don't really have too much of an opinion on that. I've only watched the fight once, so I can't really like go crazy on it. I more just want to talk about her energy because I'm a big fan of her. Win or lose, she brings like just a different flair to the octagon. You know, you got to promote yourself in some way, and I like the way that she does it. I bet Bisping's wife, when Bisping got home, was like, "So she was a pole dancer before this, huh?" Like, nah, yeah, but I'm a big fan of Vanessa Demopoulos. She's just really fun to watch, and she's entertaining in general. Like, I like when people like market themselves in a cool way. Yeah. It's different. But yeah, I mean, I guess that's a wrap on the UFC, unless you had anything else to add about it that I kind of didn't mention already.
No, these fight nights, you're continuing to impress. They're
only getting better.
Exactly. Like, if they would, because we've talked about it before, where like just the oversaturation and whatnot. And there's just like they're just making cards just for the sake of making cards and whatnot. But this one was clearly like thought out of, and
great matchmaking from top to bottom.
It culminated into a really strong card. So
yeah, I enjoyed it so much. Like, you can't get better matchmaking than what you got in that main event. Those guys were perfectly matched against one another, and they proved it in the octagon by having such a great fight. But I guess on to the other promotions. Real quick, though, I guess before that, since this is fairly new on the channel, like I said, for the Hertz Sportsbook, we're only going to be doing like separate videos for it when there's a pay-per-view. So this weekend there will be a separate video for the Hertz Sportsbook, so we're not going to cover that, although we kind of did in a way. We didn't say our picks or anything, but we definitely talked about UFC 276. But yeah, we'll definitely preview that a lot more for you guys on Friday. We'll go in depth about all the fights, give you guys our locks, our underdogs, everything like that. But to move on now, we'll go to Bellator, I guess. Man, like, I hate that Bellator puts on some good ass cards and I find out about them like 2 days before they happen. Like, this is not okay. I need to be hearing about Gegard Mousasi fights like a month in advance at least. Like, what are we doing? And then Mousasi's fighting Johnny Eblen, who nobody's given a chance to. And then Johnny Eblen destroys him. Like, he beats him from pillar to post with his wrestling. Even his striking, he looked really good. He hurt Mousasi on the feet pretty bad, like a few times. And, he won a dominant unanimous decision. Congrats to Eblen for getting that upset win. But the main reason I honestly wanted to talk about this fight was because one of the things that people talked about a lot with Mousasi was, do people think that he could beat Israel Adesanya or still make noise in the UFC like he was before he left for Bellator? Because he left the UFC, let me read this actually, I don't want to be wrong. I'm 99% sure when he left the UFC, he was on like a 5-fight win streak or something. So like that's why people like have really debated it. But damn, he's 49, 8-2. That's incredible. He's been fighting for a minute. Let's see. Yeah, his UFC run ended with a decision win over Thales Leites. Man, that's a name I haven't heard in a minute. Knockout win over Thiago Santos at UFC 200. Ground and pound TKO versus Vitor Belfort, UFC 204. Beat Uriah Hall by ground and pound first round at a fight night. I think that was a main event. And then, yeah, I remember that fight versus Chris Weidman. That was a pretty bad one too. And then after that was when he went to Bellator. Damn, I forgot he beat Rory. Oh my God, that was a fight that Rory should not have taken. Honestly, he beat Rory bad at middleweight. That was when Rory was like the welterweight champ. Rory McDonald, by the way, for anybody who doesn't realize how much we're big fans of him. But yeah, he beat Rory McDonald pretty bad at middleweight. I remember that. That was a champ type fight. Man, he's had some career, but crazy. I can't believe of all the people he's fought, he lost to Johnny Eblen. But what do you think about like his legacy, I guess, as a middleweight? Like, do you think
he's definitely one of the more underrated middleweights of our time?
That's not even everybody. He's fought. I think he's beaten like a bunch. He beat Dan Henderson first round, Mark Munoz first round. We're getting a little older into the generations, but OSP and Strikeforce. God damn. King Mo, he lost to him.
What exactly was the reasoning for leaving for Bellator?
Didn't like how, because he wasn't really much of like a shit talker. He talked a little bit, but compared to like the guys who were at the top at his time, like it was like Mike Bisping was the champ. It was like Chris Weidman, Yoel Romero, Rob Whittaker. and he was getting good wins, but like he wasn't getting this because at that point that was when like Yoel Romero was like scary. Like people were afraid to fight Yoel Romero. And Mousasi, he was like in that top echelon back then, but nobody was ever really giving him the props that he deserves. Even like now, like nobody really gives him the props he deserves. Like the reason why I wanted to talk about his legacy is because even though he lost this fight, I still think he's one of the best middleweights in the world. Like I just think that this might have either been a bad night or just a bad matchup. But Mousasi, man, like I never thought that he could beat Adesanya. I don't know why that was ever a narrative personally. But I don't think that he would fare badly against those other top guys like, you know, Sean Strickland. Like, let's see the middleweight ranks. See, actually, this show flows so much better now that I have the rankings up every time. But like even those other top guys like Brunson, I think has he fought Brunson? I'm surprised they never fought back when he was in the UFC. If he hadn't fought him,
Derek Brunson's another guy who's got a pretty lengthy track record.
Yeah. When's he fighting? He should fight pretty soon. I know he said I think he wants to beat Bisping's middleweight wins record, which he's 2 away from tying at the moment.
Okay.
So he needs 3 more wins to do that. I like that, though, because I remember initially he had said that he was going to stop fighting if he didn't... I think it was like, if he lost to Cannonier, then he only wanted 1 more fight, but I like that he actually wants to keep going, because I really think he's got a lot left in the tank for a guy his age. But, yeah, I mean, I think Mousasi, though, back to him, I think that he could have still made a lot of noise in the UFC, even, like, up to today. It sucks, though, because now that you lose to a guy in Bellator who, like, not a lot of people have heard of, people completely discount your chances at beating anybody, which is ridiculous. But, nonetheless, that's what happened. I just wanted to take that second to give Mousasi his flowers despite it. And give Johnny Eblen his flowers, honestly, for pulling off an upset for the ages in Bellator. Because I don't know a lot of people, including myself, who were picking him to win. So, besides that, though, there were some pretty interesting bantamweight fights in Bellator that I thought was awesome. I showed you a little bit about the bantamweight Grand Prix that I had no idea was happening before we started the pod. Now, the other fight that happened involved Magomed Magomedov, who's, if I'm not mistaken, is one of the only people to beat Petr Yan. I think that's him. So
right.
He fighting Patchy Mix. That's going to be a pretty good fight. Although I think Magomed wins. I'm high on him, man. Anybody who fucking beat Petr Yan is...
Yeah.
You know that guy's good. As good as Patchy Mix is himself, but still... but besides that, Danny Sabatello fought on this card, and like a lot of people are starting to get introduced to him. I remember when he like first kind of got into Bellator because he got booked in like a fight against a guy that I'm pretty sure Bellator was like pretty high on. Because I remember it because at the time I was watching a lot of American Top Team. They have their own podcast with Dan Lambert and blanking on the other guy's name, but he's another coach there, and they've been high on Danny Sabatello for a while, and because of that, so have I. Because every time they say to bet on him, because he was a heavy underdog. A lot of times he fought because a lot of people didn't know who he was, and he would always beat the crap out of these guys with he's just got insanely good wrestling. It's like legit, like top notch, and that's why Rafael Stotts, when Danny won the fight using his wrestling, he goes. That I'm not even trying to imitate him, but basically, Big John asked Rafael Stotts, who is currently the interim Bellator bantamweight champion, what he thinks of Danny Sabatello, who is his next opponent, and he went and gave an all-time promo. He basically said that was a terrible performance. This guy sucks. All he knows how to do is wrestle, and he said, I just want to congratulate Danny Sabatello on this ass whooping that he just won, and that is so awesome. I love when guys talk shit, especially in Bellator. You need like guys like that who are going to promote the fight. Yeah. And him versus Danny Sabatello in general is a really good fight because Rafael Stotts, he's really good all around, but his wrestling is outstanding himself. So I'm curious to see if Sabatello is going to be able to take him down, and if he can't, what can he do besides wrestle? Like that's what we don't know yet. But I'm high on it. I mean, Danny Sabatello, he only recently started kind of talking a lot of shit, which I love. Like I said, he's kind of embraced like the heel mentality. Kind of like, well, people have been comparing him to Colby Covington because of that, but he fucking hates Colby Covington because he's boys with Masvidal at APT. But it's just so stupid because he is kind of like Colby, like whether he likes it or not. It's the same mentality. He's using the same marketing tactics, and he says his is real while Colby's is fake. I'm like, all right, well, why weren't you doing it before? But It's whatever. He was talking a lot of crap to Leandro Higo, who was his opponent coming into this fight. He said he'd fight him, the typical things, I'll beat his ass in the parking lot if I can't beat him in the cage. But he destroyed him using his wrestling. I mean, he's just a fantastic grappler as it is. So I can't wait for that fight. But the Bantamweight Grand Prix, it's getting, towards the end. I'm thankful that I found out about it now.
Yeah, right before it ends.
Yeah, exactly. Because the semis, like I said, it's Patchy Mix and Magomedov, and you got Rafael Stotts and Danny Sabatello. And the winner of the Grand Prix is still the interim champ, because the current official champ is Sergio Pettis, who's not fighting right now, I guess. He's waiting on the winner. I don't remember if he's hurt or not. But that should be fun. Anytime you get an interim champ versus a current champ, it usually makes the fight feel a little bit bigger, especially in Bellator now because they have the Grand Prix and stuff. That just always builds the fight. So, man, I don't know who's going to be fighting Sergio Pettis. I get the feeling that it might be Magomed, but I'm not sure. It could be any of these guys. Personally, I don't think it's going to be Patchy Mix, sadly. I'm not sleeping on him. I think he's good. But all these other guys are they're such high-level grapplers, but I don't know who beats who. I don't know who wins Stotts versus Sabatello. But whoever wins that's got to face Magomed in the final.
I think it's so cool about, the tournament, bracket type style.
And just so everybody knows, you'll never see the UFC do that, ever, besides with Tough. By the way, check out Talkin' Tough. That was a shameless plug right there. But, I love the Grand Prix format. I mean, we never really saw it after Pride when that went away, but Bellator, I think, does a really good job at it nowadays because they picked the right divisions to do it with now. They have good fighters. When they did it at 205, I thought that one was really good. Their heavyweight one was pretty solid, and this one, honestly, has been pretty cool so far, now that I've realized that it's going on. But, I like all four of these guys. I'm intrigued to see how the Final Four goes with them, and then to see if any of these guys can beat Sergio Pettis, because that's the real, challenge at the end of it, You win the tournament, you win $1 million in the interim belt, but you don't get the real belt yet. You got to fight Pettis for that one. That's what makes it interesting. So that hunger doesn't go away even with the $1 million, which is interesting. That's what I have to say. Because you get the money, but you don't get the belt. I wonder if that matters to some of them more than it does to others. Some of them are definitely only fighting for a paycheck, but some of them want the glory. I think most of these guys want the glory, which is cool because that makes for better fights. But besides Bellator, actually one more thing with Bellator I forgot. I think, did I text you about what Kat Zingano said to... Yeah, that was not expecting that because I remember when she last got a win, I was like, she should fight Cyborg for the title just because that's good. It's good promo. She's already in the top few in featherweight anyway. I don't know what the rankings are looking like for that. But actually, I might actually be able to pull that up because Bellator has pretty good rankings, honestly, but I don't go on them very much. Kat Zingano is currently the number 2 ranked featherweight, and I'm pretty sure Cyborg's already beaten number 1. God, I'm surprised that fight's never happened, but Zingano, she doesn't want the fight right now because she wants Cyborg to pass a drug test, a legit drug test, not a Bellator drug test, because what do you think? Because she's tested positive for things in the past, so you can't act like she's never cheated in her life. And considering that Bellator definitely has a less strict PED testing policy or whatever you want to call it, what do you do you think Kat Zingano's fears are any bit valid, or do you think that she's kind of I don't want to say ducking the fight, but using that to kind of get out of... I guess it is ducking the fight. Yeah. Do you think she's trying to get out of fighting Cyborg, or do you think that she's has reason to feel the way she feels? 'Cause I think it's a little bit of both, personally.
I lean more toward ducking Cyborg.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to fight Cyborg if that makes anybody feel better. I don't think you would. I don't think anybody who knows anything about Cyborg would want to fight her. She's 26-2. Cyborg.
Yeah, but, thing is, Kat Zingano's the number 2 ranked, fighter of the division. It's
Dana always says that you can't force her to fight. You
can't. You definitely can't.
She's only screwing herself out of a title opportunity if you think about it. They can offer that fight all they want, and she doesn't have to say yes. But, that messes with your reputation and stuff, too. it's the same thing with like when people used to talk about Ronda Rousey versus Cyborg. People used to give Ronda shit because they said, well, Ronda's probably scared of her. But I don't. At that time though, that was closer to when Cyborg tested positive for her PEDs.
Yeah.
So like, and especially for how confident Ronda was back then, that I kind of believe that was actually her reason. While Kat Zingano, I sort of think, like I said, I personally think it's 50-50. I think it's a little bit of both because, one, I'd be scared to fight Cyborg, and two, I do think that it's valid to think that she might be on something considering that she has been caught for it, and like, I don't know, she's like a jacked woman, man. She's definitely built for like someone who's like a female fighter.
It's like, what do you do with these two if you don't, like, there's alternative.
Maybe she's trying to get paid. You think she's trying to get paid? Because Bellator might be like, look, we'll give you all this money to fight her.
That would be a very methodical like tactic of going about it. I'm not gonna lie.
I'm not gonna lie, I respect it.
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
one way to do it
too. But it's just like, I feel like things just become so like, I feel like neither of them can really like move forward.
Well, Cyborg, I don't know what the hell's the deal with her, because I'm pretty sure her Bellator contract is technically up, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong about that.
Oh.
But I don't think she plans on leaving. I'm not certain, obviously, but I don't think she plans on leaving.
Yeah.
She's been speaking highly of Bellator.
Yeah, I would hope Bellator gets that arranged first.
The only way I see her leaving Bellator is if she goes to the PFL to fight Kayla Harrison. But I don't know if I see that happening, to be honest. But besides that, like, I guess this is another good transition because we're talking about the PFL. I have one thing and one thing only I want to talk about for the PFL, and that was the brutal. I guess the thing I saw on Tapology, they called it a modified body lock, and I can't think of anything better than that, so that's what I'm going to call it. But Stevie Ray submits Anthony Pettis with probably one of the scariest modified body locks you'll ever see. How do you even explain like what he did to him? Like, he basically like had him. He was pulling like his lower body in one direction. He's pulling his head down to like the left.
There's like a human balloon just wrapping around Anthony Pettis.
Yeah,
and
and Pettis was stretched in a way that a human being is not supposed to be stretched.
Holding Anthony Pettis there, and then
if I can find like a good picture of the position that it looked like Anthony Pettis was in when that fight ended, I'll definitely add that to the video because you gotta see this to like really.
It looked very uncomfortable. Super really
he
uncomfortable.
Fucking popped a rib. It was horrible. Like I was like, even when he first was in it, like he wasn't tapping right away. I'm like, bro, what are you doing? Like, you're done. Like, how are you getting out of that? God, Stevie Ray, he's a really good grappler. He's like, he was fighting in the UFC for a while.
That is some scary. That's some scary stuff. Like, that's I get submitted in a hold like that. Like, I have fear of every grappler that I'm facing.
That might make me stop. That might make me stop fighting.
Like, I don't want no one else but a striker.
Yeah, I mean, Pettis, though, it's weird with him because he experienced like so much like glory and so much winning at such a young age. Like when he was like the champ in like the WEC and then in the UFC, like he was on a Wheaties box, bro. Like, how many people can you say that for?
Those WEC days.
The Showtime kick?
You cannot forget about the WEC days with Anthony Pettis.
And I know like a lot of like people who watch us they don't know as much about the WEC, but I can guarantee that they've seen that kick. I know they have. Because the UFC
that's something you just like get introduced into the sport.
Yeah, like when you see MMA highlights, that's like one of the top ones. Anytime you see a man jump off the cage and land a head kick that drop, and he did that. He didn't just do that to a bum. He did that to a prime Benson Henderson. Like, and Benson Henderson is like, well, maybe not as much nowadays, but especially when he's in the UFC, he's a tough dude. Like, he's not an easy guy to drop.
Henderson was the man.
Yeah, man. And like Pettis was UFC champ at such a young age, and then he lost to, ironically enough, RDA. God, man, that UFC 155 lore truly just goes so far back into the past.
Isn't that so like crazy?
UFC 185 was when that happened. So
wow.
That's like probably 2015, 2016.
Wow. Like,
unbelievable to think that it's been that long since Anthony Pettis was champ at the UFC. And then he's had some great moments, obviously, besides that. Like his fight with Tony Ferguson, that might have been a loss, but Oh my god! Like that's one of the best 3-round fights I've ever watched.
That dude was a phenom.
Yeah, and then I remember one of the first fights that I got to see after I got ESPN Plus was when he knocked out Wonder Boy in pretty much like his home state, which was horrible. Wonder Boy had never been stopped like that in, I don't even think, kickboxing or MMA. I think that was the first time he said he'd ever been knocked out. Like,
wow.
Yeah, I mean,
wow, man.
That's a flex for Anthony Pettis.
Yeah, it really is.
So, and then, he leaves the UFC to make more money in the PFL. He has had very mixed results in the PFL, and this one against a guy like Stevie Ray, who's like, I would say a journeyman in the UFC, and now he's beating Anthony Pettis by submission. Like, is Anthony Pettis done, man? Like, is it that time? Is it after this season, should he just call it? Like, because he's made enough money. He's a smart businessman. I see him making money all the time on Instagram with bets. Like, he doesn't need this anymore. Like, I don't want to see Anthony Pettis getting put in those types of positions in the PFL, bro. Like, after all the highs of his career.
The fact that he is still going out there, and
it's not even that he's old. I just think it's the miles. Like, he's been
exactly. You don't realize how, like, at least, comparison to, like, obviously, like, older, like, more, like, iconic names and whatnot we're accustomed to. Like,
honestly, I put him in those categories, though. He was a big star at 155 for a long time. Like, I'm literally about to look up his resume. Like, I want to read, like, some of the people that he's beaten in his career. But, like, people forget, man. Let's go back. All right, we're at the WEC. He's winning by, he beat, all right, this is how you know Pettis has been around for a minute. He beat Danny Castillo, who is the guy that you see who is currently the head coach of Team Alpha Male. He has not fought in a while. So, that's, like, he fought Danny Castillo. But he, oh my gosh, Shane Roller, that's another name I haven't heard in a minute. Then he fought, I think that was actually, might have been the last WEC fight, if I'm not mistaken. Wow. Him versus Benson Henderson. And obviously he won that insane fight. That was a great fight in general. Like, people forget, like, that Showtime kick was great, but it didn't finish the fight. Like, that was the rest of round 5. But the fight before that was super close, and I remember I loved watching that fight the first time I did. But then after that, it was crazy. His UFC debut, he lost to Clay Guida. But after that, he went on like a tear. He beat Jeremy Stevens, Joe Lozon. Then I remember, oh my God, that body kick that he hit Cowboy Cerrone with was just brutal. Then he beat Benson Henderson again in the UFC, beat Gilbert Melendez. Like, that's crazy. Like, who did he get the belt from? Did he get it from? I think he got it from Benson, if I'm not mistaken. That fucked up. Benson lost to him in the WEC and the UFC. Yeah, he beat Benson for the belt. First round armbar. Wow. First round armbar.
Wow.
Then he beat Gilbert Melendez by guillotine choke. I remember that fight. And then after that he lost to RDA. So it wasn't a long title reign, but you also got to remember he had the belt in the WEC too. And despite all this, he was still a huge star. He lost a few fights after that though. He beat Charles Oliveira, beat Jim Miller, Michael Chiesa, Wonder Boy obviously. But man, I'm like, considering that Anthony Pettis was like one of the bigger stars of the sport when I got into it, like I said with Ferguson, like and even Joanna, like when I see these guys and girls, like they lose like this in like, and especially in like the PFL against a guy who wasn't even like crazy in the UFC, but man, like I don't know, it might be it for Anthony Pettis, like low key. I don't want to be the guy to put like, retire him, but he's 25-13 now. And most of those losses are recent. They're not in the beginning of his career. It's just like, in the PFL right now, he's 1-3 in the PFL. Like, I don't like that at all. I don't like that at all. Clay Collard is the only one, in my opinion, that might have been a better fighter than him at that point, but I don't think Stevie Ray is a better fighter than Anthony Pettis. And the fact that he lost like that to him just sucks, man. But great career for Anthony Pettis, and he's not done. Like I'm saying that, like he's done. He's still got the rest of the PFL season to turn it around, and I hope he does because I'm a big fan of his. But I don't know. I mean, I think that he's already had like all that glory, and he might just be doing it for the check at this point. Which, hey, if that's what he wants to do, that's what he wants to do. I don't blame him. But yeah, I think his best days are sadly behind him. But man, like I said in the beginning of the episode, PFL, Bellator, UFC. This was just a crazy weekend in combat sports, dude. Like, I enjoyed every second of it, and next weekend's going to be even crazier. I can't wait to talk about UFC 276 more in depth with you on Friday for the Hurt Sportsbook. So, guys, definitely be on the lookout for that. And in terms of talking tough, we are now entering the semifinals on the show. So, shit's getting serious. So, definitely tune into that come probably Thursday. Probably Thursday, I'd say, this week. I'm kind of debating what I want to do with that, but I think this week it'll probably be Thursday. And, so that on Thursday, Hurt Sportsbook on Friday, and then we'll be right back here with you guys on Monday, breaking down whatever happens next weekend. So with that, we'll see you guys next time.